Yeah, hello, welcome. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's a really big honor to present to you today. I will tell you a bit about sustainability. The previous speaker already also spoke that the consumer mindset shifts towards sustainability. So I really want to talk about circular economy because from my perspective, circular economy will be the future for all of us. And it's the only possibility from an economic perspective to really fight climate change. So shortly to myself, I was introduced. My name is Kilian, one of the founders of Refurbed. We are an online marketplace for refurbished electronic products. I will go a bit into detail a bit later. But before I founded Refurbed, I was working for Amazon in Munich, so for Amazon Germany. Probably a great name on the CV, and even some colleagues are also here today, which I knew from before. Nevertheless, I was building up the Refurbished program for Amazon for Europe. And I realized really fast that Amazon is not really focusing on refurbished products because they make more money by selling new products. And this was quite frustrating if you are in charge of this whole program. So I thought there should be like a different opportunity for really pushing these amazing products, these refurbished products. Because refurbished products combining the best from new and used products. They have functioning like a new product, they have a warranty like a new product, but they have a price and the sustainability benefits of a used product. So it's really, really great new condition category which should be placed between new and used. So why it's so important to work in this industry and to really change the way people consume, specifically consume electronic products, it's because of this. The electronic category, consumer electronic category is a €1 trillion big market, which of course sounds great from a growth perspective and a potential of business, but on the other hand this also means that the potential harm of the environment is incredibly large. So to give you some numbers on these problems, every year 70 billion kilograms of CO2 emissions are created through the production of new products. Next to that, 50 million tons of e-waste are created through the production. And last but not least, not even possible to mention number of water is also used for the production as well as, for example, getting the rare elements and the resources out of the earth. So the problem on the environment is a huge one. But how can we solve this? Because we will always consume, we will not stop consuming, and every one of us needs a smartphone, every one of us wants to have a notebook or a coffee machine. So we have to think of a new solution. And the new solution is growing the circular economy. Because when we have products which are already there, they are already produced, why not extending the lifetime of these products and really change the way people consume? So we all have to rethink what new means. So now going back a bit to the journey of Refurbed and showing you a bit where we are coming from. So we are now 7 years old. Exactly last Saturday we had our 7 years anniversary, so it was a kind of a big party on the weekend for myself. And since then we're growing massively. Not only from an economic side, so like from the growth and revenue numbers that we have, but also from the impact perspective, like how much CO2 we're reducing, how much electronic waste we are reducing, and how much water we are saving. I will get to that in a bit later. But of course also from a staffing side. So we started with 3 people, just my 3 co-founders, and then we extended to now a team of more than 300 people. The most important part is, from our perspective, to really focus on the customer. Because you really have to understand what the customer wants, specifically if you want to change this mindset that people have of always wanting to have a new product and switching it to the motivation of thinking about circular economy products and establishing this refurbishment category. So how did we do that? So first of all, we're building a mission-driven team. What does it mean? It means that we are a company which called a born-from company. When we founded the company with a purpose to create a positive impact on the environment. So it's not like a lot of companies and big corporates are now doing to kind of creating now a new CSR department or thinking about more sustainable action to put around their normal strategy. Our strategy when we started was solely based on building a company which has the biggest possible impact on the environment and the planet. And this, of course, has a huge positive impact as well on the employees and your colleagues that you have. Because the motivation, the intrinsic motivation of these people is massive. Most likely, every one of you would like to prefer to work for a company which has a positive impact on the planet, and not for a company which destroys the planet. So also for talent acquisition, it really, really helps us and results in the case that us three are now more than 300. But also when you are working as a marketplace, the supply is really important. So you really have to understand how you get the right partners on board to serve the customers, but specifically also bringing the right products on the marketplace. So we're working not only with refurbishers, we're partnering up with more than 250 in whole Europe, but we're also working directly with brands. So for example, you can already buy on our website DeLonghi coffee machine. You can buy from our website, like officially refurbished by DeLonghi. The same with a vacuum cleaner from AEG. So we really want to ensure that also the quality level of our products is exceptional. Sadly, on the European level, there's no legal requirements what refurbishment means. So we really have to ensure that we set up the standards to ensure that people are trusting this new condition category between new and used. And really important as well for us is that we also want to extend the product portfolio. If some of you know Refurbed, most likely you know it because of smartphones. Maybe because of notebooks as well. That is where we started with 2017. But we already extended quite broadly. So we now also have kitchen products, like as I mentioned, mixers, coffee machines, household goods like vacuum cleaners, even garden equipment, and we just recently launched sports. So you now can also buy a refurbished e-bike and even refurbished ski and snowboards, despite that snow is not there a lot in Austria right now. But we really wanted to ensure that people are able to buy not only their smartphone refurbished, but really thinking how we can enable people to consume more sustainable and finding alternatives to buying new products. Next to that, we see also our role as a key player in the circular economy to be really strong on the policy side of the business. Because we really want to ensure that also from a regulatory side, they are more focused on circular economy. Not only benefiting us, but literally benefiting everyone who wants to focus more on a positive impact on the planet. So like here two pictures, like the left one is with the Austrian Ministry of Climate and Mobility. She was in our headquarters in Vienna. And on the other side, I'm also part of the board of the European Refurbishment Association, which is the largest association and industry representation for the refurbished industry in Europe. Because we really want to change the legislation in the direction of circular economy. Right now, there are really important topics discussed. You probably have heard about the right to repair. There's eco-design, like how these products should be designed from the manufacturers to enable repair, make it easier to repair products. So circular economy, at the current legislation, has a huge role. There's quite a bit of risk that with the elections in summer this year, sadly this will change. For this reason, it's even more important to lobbying in the positive way that there will be changes on the legislation towards more circularity and moving away from linear economy. But as well for us, it's really important to also looking at our customer groups. When we started, we really focused on end customers, like private citizens which want to buy a smartphone, which want to buy a notebook. But we also realized that there are many, many more customer groups which really want to buy products, specifically businesses, because you have the advantage of a lower price and sustainability. On the sustainability side, it's really interesting that also on a European legislation, the reporting for sustainable targets is getting more and more important and even required for some companies from a specific size. So we already have established the possibility to have a certification of the reduction of CO2 emissions, e-waste and water consumption compared to buying a new product, which means that companies which are now purchasing from us refurbished equipment for their teams can now already using this reduction of the emission, for example, in their sustainability reporting. So we see a lot of development going up in this direction to really ensuring that it's a really easy step for everyone to move in the direction. And the last step, which we are already starting working on, but is kind of complex and it's really slow moving, is towards the cities on the political side. Because as you all know, when you have to change your address or something and you go to any public authorization, they're not really motivated of working really fast. Nevertheless, they should all be using refurbished products because the government is always standing in front of us and telling us, you know, they want to do something positive for the planet. They want to change how we're looking at climate change. But in the end of the day, they're all buying new products. And France, for example, is leading in this regard. there 70% of the products that governmental institutions are purchasing must be refurbished. But now I already talked a lot about what we are doing and that we are doing a great job, but I think it's really, really important that you underline this with numbers. Because right now, when you're looking at outside of the business, or in the whole business world, everyone is sustainable. Like every company is now sustainable. Oil companies are sustainable. I'm not sure how, but they're all branding themselves that they are sustainable. So we also have thought about like how we can really ensure that the numbers that we are presenting and that the benefits that refurbished products are really there, how can we display them and really ensuring that they're certified. So we work together with the Fraunhofer Austria Institute, as one of the most well-known research institutions in the world, to figuring out exactly how much less impact a refurbished device has compared to a new device. Just to name, for example, the example of a smartphone which you buy refurbished instead of buying new has 70% less CO2 emissions, 71% less electronic waste, and more than 80% less water usage, because you're extending the lifetime of this product. So through that, we already reduced CO2 emissions by over 76,000 tons, which is kind of equalizing as electricity usage of more than 30,000 households. We also reduced electronic waste by more than 556 tons, which is kind of the weight of 445 small cars. And when you're looking at water savings, this number, 38 billion liters, is kind of equalizing more than 700,000 one-person households of water usage per year. And this is just us, right? It's just our company which has this impact by just doing our job, nothing else that we're doing here. But we even wanted to go a step further, because we think just to be focusing on doing what we are doing is great, but we really wanted to also think about how we can further reduce the emissions that are still created through the refurbishment process. So we're now working with different organizations together to do carbon removal, e-waste recycling, and landscape restoration. Specifically, if you look at e-waste recycling, one of the big problems here is that a lot of the electronic devices are shipped to Africa, for example. And people are literally dying there on a daily basis, because if they want to extract the rare elements like the gold, the copper, the silver out of the products, they're burning the plastic of the product to get on these resources, and are dying. So it's like kind of illegal recycling what they're happening. And so we're working together with an organization which calls Minimize, and these helping us to collecting the products, like the illegal exported electronic products in Africa, and recycling them officially to really gaining out the resources that there are. Kind of to coming to an end, what I want to point out here is for us is extremely important. We really have to reconsider the way how we're defining also success to really create a positive impact. So that means that we need really to create a mindset shift. And I mean, like, everyone has to do a mindset shift, and specifically business has to be a mindset shift. When you're looking at it, that is the current mindset. Business success is profit. This is the perspective why the majority of companies are looking at, where the CEOs of big corporates and stock companies are paid for with their bonuses. That is the reality. But if we really want to change something and really want to create a positive impact and save our planet Earth, we have to go to this new mindset. We have to ensure that business success is profit and impact. And impact can be defined as social impact, impact can be defined as environmental impact, but this has to be the future. If we're not able to make this happen, we will not solve the climate crisis. And we therefore need more businesses as well, which having this in their heart of the business. So the core of the business has to be impact-driven as well. And if you are able to combine both of it, which of course can be difficult for some companies, only then we really can make an impact. So I'm also always trying, when I'm speaking on conferences, advocate everyone who has a business, and I think a lot of people here have businesses, to rethink their behavior of how their mindset is, shifting their mindset towards profit and impact as a baseline for success. And for everyone else, who is a private citizen here, everyone can do something, right? I'm often get asked, what is my impact? If I'm not changing to be vegan or stop traveling, what is my personal impact? If we all think that, then we can all just lie down and all die, because then nothing will change, right? I think the most important part is we will not stop consuming. I think that's not realistic, right? Every one of us wants to have a smartphone. And so I also want to be really clear. I'm always telling you, like we're trying to do the best to saving the planet and changing the world and making it greener, but we're doing that to find an alternative to buying a new product. The best for the planet would be we stop consuming. So the best situation would be if I don't have a microphone here, I don't have a clicker, there's no screen, we're all sitting here naked because we're not consuming. Not sure if that is the best for everyone, but theoretically, that would be the best for the planet. But it's not realistic, specifically not in the Western consumer society. So we have to find alternatives of consumption. And I think every one of us, if you really think about it, can reduce their consumption a bit. What I mean here is that I don't like this really extreme versions about, you have to stop everything that you're doing. Stop eating meat at all. Stop taking a flight. Stop doing that and that. Do it as a step-by-step approach, and everyone can do it as a step-by-step approach. If we're all doing that, then we can really create an impact. So I hope that you all are now kind of a bit inspired of changing the way how you're consuming, and specifically rethink what you buy and rethink what the definition of new is, because we really want to ensure that the new normality is refurbished products. It's not new, it's refurbished products, and we want to enable everyone to make this happen. And so, thank you very much for your time, and I wish you all a great remaining day, but I think there are still a couple of questions probably.
What future trends do you foresee in the market for refurbished electronics, and how is Refurb preparing for these changes?
So in general, the development that we see right now is that the prices for new products are still continuously rising. On the other hand, the income level of people is kind of flat. We have a strong pressure on pricing because of inflation. So I think the interesting piece of refurbished products, just from a logical economic perspective, will continuously be important. What we see specifically is that more and more brands are also looking into refurbish their products, so they think about circular economy. One big problem I think is still there, that the majority of brands still make the majority of money with selling new products, with linear economy, and also with changing their products on a regular basis. We see the cycles of, for example, new smartphones, which are every year. So I think there will be the opportunity which we have to get a wider range of products in the future, because more brands, different categories are starting to accelerate. So as I said, like in the beginning, we started with smartphones and notebooks, not because we didn't want anything else, but there was nothing else in the market, right? So like the kitchen products, household goods, all this established over time because the brands realized we have to create a circular economy strategy, and therefore starting to also building up these processes as well.
Wonderful. And can you describe specific sustainability measures taken by Refurbed in its operations?
Yeah, so as I stated, with the statistics, we're specifically targeting in our work as refurbishment and working with our refurbishers, CO2 emissions, e-waste and water consumption. But of course, we as well as a company are really focused on sustainability. That means that for travel, for example, everyone who can go somewhere in the next 6 hours with a train must take a train. All of our office is made out of sustainable materials, a lot of made from wood, for example. Of course, we separate waste, so all of this is for us a normal habit, because I think when you're looking at the colleagues of ours we are working with every day, everyone is really an ambassador for this fight against climate change. And this means that their daily behavior is also strongly going in the direction of having a positive impact on the planet.
Practice what you preach, right?
Exactly, you should.
I like that, that's great. The next question, what strategies does Refurbed use to reduce the environmental impact of electronic products?
I think with the business model itself that we're having, we're already doing it. But of course, in general, it's also about ensuring that the products which are produced, and let's say to be quite frank here, a smartphone, for example, is produced theoretically for 10 years, right? Maybe you have to exchange the battery after a couple of years. The problem which we have here as well is software updates are not supported at one point. So if after 5 or 6 years a model you cannot use anymore because the software updates are not supported, you have to end the lifetime of the product. So I think there is a huge important aspect as well from the regulatory side to change this. But in general, I think the importance is to extend the lifetime as much as possible. And our goal is to extend it at least by 2 times. So that means if every 1.5 to 2 years a product is normally replaced specifically in companies, we want to at least add on 2 additional cycles to ensure that the product is at least used for 5 or 6 years.
I think you were briefly mentioning planned obsolescence, right? So how do you combat planned obsolescence when you are, fighting for sustainability, helping with refurbished products, and how do you change, I guess, the industry norm in that capacity?
In my perspective, that is really a political topic, right? Because it's the regulatory which has to fight against planned obsolescence, because the manufacturers are creating it on purpose to have a shorter lifetime of the product or a higher replacement cycle. So I think this is a regulatory piece where the right to repair is a first step, which requires now manufacturers, for example, to providing spare parts to third-party repair shops, but also ensuring that, for example, software pairing of devices is not allowed. So the classic example for a smartphone, for example, is manufacturers putting a software serial number in the camera, and if you replace in the camera and you cannot ping it to the manufacturer, the camera will not work. So this is literally kind of destroying and eliminating repair, which of course is horrible. And the regulatory part, I think, has to jump in there, and we see first developments with the right to repair, with the eco-design, to at one point, going back to the time when I had my first smartphone, I want to say like my first phone, I think it was this Nokia 3310 or something with the snake game on this, it was really cool. And there, if I wanted to exchange the battery, I opened the back cover, took the battery out and the new battery in, and nowadays, I'm one of the founders of Refurbed. I could not repair my phone, no chance. I for sure it would be a disaster. So that is the complexity in which we are, and I hope that through the regulatory part, we are now at the peak of non-repair and going back to repairability.
Wow. Do you have any last insights or words of wisdom that you would like to share with our audience today?
Maybe ending something with positivity. I think there's still hope. There's still hope. No, I think like in general, what we see on the policy side as well, there are a lot of developments towards circular economy. I think the importance to understand, and this is one of the biggest obstacles we currently have still also on a global scale, is that there are 3 different groups which have to be looked at, right? This is the businesses, the economy, it's the citizens, and the political side. And what we see right now a lot of times is that people are just, holding the other person accountable and nothing changes. And if we do that, nothing will change. So it's really like every one of these 3 different groups has to do their parts of changing it, right? Like the policy side has to ensuring that the regulatory is based for circular economy, for example. The companies have to establish circular economy, and we as citizens, we have to really be smart in our purchasing decisions and think how we can purchase as sustainable as possible. So I think this is the really important aspect that must change, because only then we really can make an impact and really can change the situation which we're in right now.
Amazing. You heard it from him live and direct. There's still hope, ladies and gentlemen. So please put your hands together one more time for Kilian Kaminski from Refurbed.